Next up, we'll have Delegate Freitas.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. House Bill 2193 is better known as the Defend Our Guard Act. And I'll get right to the meat of what the bill will do. Notwithstanding any other provision, this can be found on line 64. Notwithstanding any other provision of law, the Virginia National Guard and its members shall not be called forth into active duty combat by the governor unless Congress has made an official declaration of war, called forth the Virginia National Guard and its members, and official action taken pursuant to Article 1, Section 8, Clause 15 of the Constitution of the United States for the purposes of expressly executing the laws of the United States, repelling invasions, or suppressing an insurrection. The governor shall take all necessary actions to comply with the requirements of this subsection. And then on line 70, Section C, nothing in this section shall be construed to prohibit or limit the governor's authority to deploy the Virginia National Guard into active duty for the purposes of providing defense support for civil authority missions in a foreign state or elsewhere within the United States. Essentially, what this is attempting to do is correct what I think has been a mistake of U.S. foreign policy for some time now, arguably multiple times since the Korean War. And that is, we get ourselves involved in wars, but Congress doesn't actually declare war. And I know for myself, I take a great deal of pride in having served in the United States military. I take a great deal of pride in the people that I served along with overseas in combat zones. I think we have gotten to the point where it is time for somebody somewhere to hold Congress responsible for completely abdicating its responsibility under the Constitution to declare war, and instead allowing the executive branch to get us involved in wars. And as long as they pass a budget amendment, then Congress apparently has had a say in the process. Now, we obviously can't do much in the state level with respect to directing U.S. foreign policy. That's not our role. Or directing the actions of the active duty military. That's not our role. But I do think we can have something to say about the Virginia National Guard when it comes to deploying in overseas conflicts and war where there has not actually been a declaration of war. So this is crafted in such a way to respect the authority of the governor of Virginia and his responsibilities with respect to the Guard. It's crafted in such a way to respect the authority that the federal government has with respect to the federalizing of the National Guard. But it's also meant to restrict the possibility of the National Guard being deployed overseas to fight in wars that have never been declared. And I'd be happy to take any questions from the committee.
Thank you, Delegate Freitas. Delegate Siebel.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a question for the patron.
Delegate Siebel.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So last year, I believe it was last year, maybe the year before, the governor deployed National Guard, the Virginia National Guard to the border in Texas. Would this bill prevent that from happening again?
No.
So, follow up, Mr. Chair?
Delegate Siebel.
So, can you tell me why not, and what's the difference between your bill and that particular incident?
Sure. In that case, we're actually deploying the National Guard to another state, which is still provided for here, and for the express purpose of defending the United States. In that case, you could say defending the United States, what could be constituted for a significant border security breach. That's very different than deploying the National Guard to conflicts in places like Afghanistan or Iraq without a declaration of war. So that's the distinction between the two.
Thank you, Delegate Freitas. Is there anyone here to speak in favor of the bill? Anyone in person opposed to the bill? We have someone signed up online, but they are not here. The bill now is back before the committee. Delegate Thomas.
Mr. Chair, I'd just like to say that wildly, for the second time this session, I'd like to commend the patron for bringing a bill forward. I can tell you I'm certainly tired of my brothers and sisters getting sent to wars where Congress has not declared war. And so while this step is a small one, as admitted by the patron, given the constraints between state and federal law, I certainly appreciate the sentiment and the point behind the bill.
Thank you, Delegate Thomas. The committee operates by motion.
Move to report.
Second.
Motion has been made and properly seconded to report House Bill 2193. Members may please cast their vote. Clerk shall close the roll. Bill reports 5-0.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee.
The Libertarians and the Liberals coming together.